is Boom for Real, and this is based on the artwork of Jean-Michel Basquiat. Has anyone heard of him before? You know, he was alive not too long ago. Unfortunately, he has passed away, but he's a relatively recent artist. So this isn't someone who was alive in the 1800s. This is someone who was alive, you know, like 20 years ago. So his artwork is really interesting in that it really reflects his life, what he experienced and how he grew up. And this is what he painted. So I want you all to close your eyes, and I want you to think about the things in your world that you see every day, that you are influenced by. Who here likes Minecraft? Who here likes Paw Patrol? Okay? So all these things you see every day. You see these images every day, and these are things that you like, that you think about, that you want to have around you. So these are the sorts of things that he put into his artwork. His artwork was reflective of the city he saw around him and the people he saw around him. So this is our artist. He's an American artist, but he has a very interesting background. He was regarded as one of the major painters of the 1980s. So this wasn't too long ago. And a lot of his artwork dealt with sort of primitive figures. Has anyone ever heard of the word primitive? What do you think that means? Primitive. What do you think that means? Have you ever heard that word before? Sort of like a cave drawing. So think of like a caveman, like really basic, like stick figures, okay? So he used primitive figures. He also used lots of color. His artwork was filled with color. And when you see his artwork, you feel the energy of the city that he grew up in. He was in New York City. There was so much energy. There was music, lights, loud cars, different kinds of people, so many different things happening. And so you feel that energy when you look at his artwork. And I want you to think about the energy that affects you in your life every day, things that get you excited, okay? He also used some really simple figures. He liked to draw arrows. You all can draw an arrow, right? He liked to draw grids. Does anyone know what a grid is? So a grid, you know, it might look like this, okay? An arrow. It could look like that, right? It could be a closed arrow. It could have a tail to it. He also drew skyscrapers. Do you like to draw buildings, houses? These are things he saw around him. Remember, this is New York City. So they're really tall buildings, okay, with windows. And so he was drawing those in. Well, not really drawing them, but doing line drawings of them, really simple drawings of them. Also a crown, right? Everyone can draw a crown. That's pretty simple. Things like rockets, right? We can all draw a rocket. Well, maybe I can't. I don't know. And words. So I want you all to think about words that are really powerful to you. Either that you like, that you don't like. What's a powerful word that you might hear in your daily life? How about no? Right? Your parents probably say that to you a lot, okay? So maybe words become part of things that influence you every day. Or how about candy, right? We all just had Halloween. Who likes candy? Who loves candy? You could draw candy, right? These are things that you like, that you come into contact with every day. So I want you to think about these things that are important to you, okay, that affect your life, because all of these things need to be part of your artwork, because today you're expressing yourself. I don't have an eraser. All right. So, very interesting person. His artwork people thought of as good artwork. Do you know how he started out doing his artwork? He began doing graffiti. He began just doing drawings, doodles. He was born in Brooklyn, New York. His father was Haitian American, and his mother was Puerto Rican. So he had an African American background, and he also had a Latino background. These things all played into who he saw himself as a person. Very diverse. He taught himself. He never went to art school. So you don't have to go to school to be a fabulous artist. He really painted and drew what he knew and what he felt inside. So, but all of this really impacted what he drew. His mother was a really big supporter and meant very much to him. So early, he did graffiti, right? And we all kind of think graffiti's bad, right? We see graffiti on the side of the freeway and stuff. Well, what he wanted to do is he wanted to create art that had meaning to him. He had a friend named Al Diaz, and he began creating street art under the name Samo, a fictional character, and they invented him to create a fake religion. And so they would spray paint stuff all over the city that were phrases, graffiti phrases from Samo. They were signed Samo, you can see here. So this says, another day, another dime, hyper cool, another way to kill some time. So just weird sayings he and his friend would spray paint around. He really kind of frowned upon traditional art in that he felt that people really paid too much money for art, and art was held on this pedestal that only really wealthy people could afford good art. So he was kind of fighting back against this feeling that he was less than an artist because he wasn't creating expensive art. So that kind of became part of his artwork. But then the funny thing is, his artwork was so popular that he became a star. And he didn't expect this at all. So he was really surprised. He went from being no one, just a kid on the street, spray painting stuff. He lived on benches. He was homeless at times. And he became a very famous artist like that. And all of a sudden, he had a studio in Soho, which was a really well-known area. And his paintings started selling for $50,000. Can you imagine that? One minute you're painting art on the side of a wall, and the next minute you sell a painting for $50,000. That's kind of crazy. And that's also what he didn't like about the art world. So he was kind of conflicted about this. He had different kinds of mixed feelings that people now wanted to buy his art for so much money when originally that's not what he felt art was about. So you can see some of his artwork. What do you guys see when you see this? Do you think that feels calm? Do you think he feels anxious? Sad? Mad? There's a lot of different feelings coming out here. So these are feelings that he was having. And you can see the look in the face of a lot of his work is really kind of startled, shocked. There's a lot of surprise in this. And that's pretty common for a lot of his work. So, the name of this project is called Boom for Real, and that is something that he said on a regular basis, meaning he would take all the things in the world that inspired him, that he loved, and he'd say, boom for real. And that was just how he felt about it. That they were big, they were little, and you could look at it and interpret it however you wanted to. And he would put them in his visions too, and they would explode on the canvas, and that's what he wanted. He wanted you to feel that energy of the city. He wanted you to feel that frustration and anxiety and that excitement that he felt all together. And so a lot of his work, you see this face. So we're calling this the boom head, okay? And today you're going to create your own boom head, and your own boom head doesn't have to look scary. This was his interpretation of his own life. But you might feel very calm. You might feel happy. So maybe your boom head has a smile, has a big smiley face with big teeth. You can draw your boom head to represent how you feel and how you want to represent yourself. So, although his art career was only 7 years, that's a very short period of time. He gained so much notoriety because his artwork was so different. And people really felt a connection, especially people who felt that energy of the city. And bringing the African American and Latino vibe into his artwork. And one of his quotes was, "I like kids' work more than work by real artists any day. I don't think about art when I'm working. I try to think about life." Why do you think that he would like a kid's art piece better than a real artist's art piece? I think he liked kids' art because he felt like it was genuine. It came from feeling and emotions, and it wasn't thinking about what do other people want to see. It's expressing who they are as people and how they see their world. So I want you guys to think about that. Think about your own genuine, authentic feelings about your artwork, about your world. And so you get to create graffiti art today. Has anyone ever doodled on paper before? I think most of us have. We like to color and draw. Some of us like certain things we draw over and over again, right? So all those things, you get an opportunity to do that today and show your skills and show how you feel inside and outside. Okay, so the project, the first thing we're gonna do, everybody has a piece of paper in front of you. We're taping down our artwork. We're going to tape it mostly in a horizontal fashion.
No, wait, we should set this up for the kids before they come in, if we have time.
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
so
We
what
decide
orientation?
which way.
Yes,
It's like a self-portrait.
yeah, and you could do it vertical or horizontal. I would say keep it consistent.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of up to you guys how you want to do that. Okay, so first we're going to start by creating our graffiti background. Okay, so what do you think of when you think of graffiti? Is it perfect?
No.
Does it look like a photograph? No, it's kind of messy and it's colorful and you don't always know what you're looking at, right? So the first thing we're going to do is create our backgrounds. Now you should all have paints in front of you. Helping hands, please pass out the paints. And we should all have wide brushes that are 1.5 inches wide. They're coming, they're coming. So the background, the first brush that we're using is a big wide brush. Okay? Helping hand, may I have one of those? Thank you. Okay, so everybody should have 5 colors on their table to start. There should be, I don't see our green. We had green too. Okay, because I want to have the green out too. So you should have our primary colors. Does anyone remember what the primary colors are? Do you know the primary colors? What are they? Okay, well green's a secondary color, but red, yellow, and blue are our primaries. And then we're going to add some green. You should also have black paint. Okay? So in addition to having the brush and the paints, we should all have a piece of paper towel near us. So helping hands, if you could pass out some paper towel pieces to everybody, that'll be really helpful because this background technique that you're doing is a dry brush technique. Has anyone ever heard of dry brush technique? Okay, so all that means is we're not just using a dry brush and painting invisible paint, right? We're going to use the paint, but we're not going to get it really, really wet, okay? We're going to dip our brush into the paint, and there should probably be 1.5 inch brush per color, okay? So we're not mixing the colors, okay? So helping hands, if we can make sure we have enough dry brushes. We don't need it for the white paint, only the colors and the black paint. Okay, the white paint's gonna come afterwards.
You need water?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So I want to keep this very simple. We'll have 1 paintbrush for each color so everyone can take their time and use the color, and then the next person can use the color. We aren't putting so much color on. What we're going to do is we're just going to put swipes of color, okay? We're going to do a couple verticals. Vertical is up and down, right? We're going to do a couple horizontals and maybe a couple diagonal swatches of paint, okay? And you want your background to kind of look like this. Now, you're all going to have the opportunity to use either white paint or black paint for your figure, for your boom head, okay? And most of the boom heads we've seen so far have had a black figure. There will also be images of boom heads that have white heads on a turquoise background, which are not in this deck yet, but will be there very shortly. So everyone's going to have the opportunity to either do their figure in white or black. Now, if you want to do a white figure, I would say put more color on your background, okay? Because you don't need to see a lot of white in the background if you're putting white on top of the color. If you're doing black, then you can leave some white space. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So, if you're doing white, you might want to fill your paper up with a little more color. Now, remember, what kind of technique are we using today?
Dry brush.
Dry brush. So we're not going to go and get all this paint all over the brush, right? And then smear it on. We need to keep it as dry as possible. That way it'll dry fast enough that we can then paint our faces on the front of it, okay? So everybody get your paints ready. Choose your first color. And you all share. You're all going to have an opportunity. So don't fight over the colors, all right? Okay. Does anyone have questions that I can answer so far? You're doing an excellent job. Look at her. I want everybody to look at her dry brush technique. This is excellent.
I don't want to do black.
Oh, that's wonderful. So get a lot of color on the background, and some of you are doing vertical, and some of you are doing horizontal. That's wonderful.
But I tell you, I'm going to go for yellow next, and I'm just going to get some red.
Oh, that's okay. You're the artist. You're the artist. So if you're the artist, you get to decide what colors. Okay?
So wait, should these even be on the table yet?
No.
Because I want to use it.
Don't use it. Okay? Green brushes and white paint should be added for the boom heads.
Okay.
That table, I don't see you guys working very much. I think you guys, you're going to run out of time if you don't get started with some of your paints. No, the white is only reserved if you're doing a white boom head, okay? So, you can use the black. The white shouldn't be on the table. The white should go on the table when we put the green brushes on the table. You can use black, yes. That's a great question. Yes. Just remember, if you're doing a black boom head, you don't want to do a lot of black in your background because then you won't have it show up as well. Ooh, I love what you're doing with your color. This is wonderful. Look at how the...
lesson?
No, but that might be next year. I already have some ideas. Yes.
That would be a great
I've done a Rothko project. They're wonderful. Oh, everybody's such a great artist here. I'm so excited. I see wonderful background graffiti canvases here. You're doing a great job. Now smear that around so it's not too wet there, okay? Remember, you don't want your canvas or your paper to get too wet because then it's going to take too long to dry, okay? So make sure that you're using a dry brush technique. If you get too much paint, that's what your paper towel is for. And you can dab off some of that paint. Okay?
Amy, they use foam brushes or you won't get the brush?
Yes, but I think that these will be working better. Julie did not buy foam brushes. We could use foam brushes, but
We might need to get some more of these dry brushes.
yes.
I don't have enough room.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah. I think that these are a little easier to do the dry. Well, they're both easy.
Yeah.
It's with the washing. So the thing we're going back and forth on is if we should be using this brush or a foam brush. However, the foam brushes, after you wash them out 3 to 4 times, they start deteriorating. So I think if we go with these, we'll get through everybody's lesson without having an issue. Okay? So when you're all done with your background using your wide brush, when you're all done with your background, you can raise your hand and the helping hands will come and collect your paintbrush. So we are going to be using a different paintbrush to paint our boom heads, okay? So the next paintbrush will be a green paintbrush. And at that time, you should only have white or black at the table to do your boom head, okay? So the boom head, we want to do white or black because those are really stark colors, okay? And they're going to contrast against your colorful backgrounds really beautifully. You're also going to have the opportunity, after we do the boom heads, I'm doing this in a little different order than what's in the deck right now. So before we had integrated oil pastels, and that's what you're going to see in just a moment, to create more of a graffiti background. We're going to hold off and do all of the acrylic first, and then do the graffiti on top of it, okay? So we're going to try to get all the acrylic done, and hopefully it'll dry quickly enough, okay? So the next step, okay, so does everyone have a colorful graffiti background? So we're gonna think about our heads, okay? There are so many different shapes of heads. We have oval, right? That's an oval head. You can have a circle head. If you're a Minecraft character, what shape would your head be?
Square.
It would be square. You could have a block head, right? You could have a triangle pizza head, right? So think about what shape you want your head to be. It could be reflective of you. It could just be a shape that you like, okay? And you can see a variety of different shapes here. Okay? So after you decide on what shape you want your head to be, then you can think about a nose. Noses can be hard to draw, right? But you know, we're doing graffiti art. So this doesn't have to be perfect, right? So you could do a long nose like that. I think that looks like a Minecraft character, doesn't it? You could do a round nose like that. And then do a little piece up here and draw the nostrils. It's up to you. Look, you could do a triangle nose, okay? So think about what shape you want your nose to be, okay? You can put nostrils if you want, or you don't have to. It's okay. The eyes are very important too. Do you want your eyes to be big, or do you want them to be smaller? So big eyes would be more round, right? Kind of like surprise. And you do the dots. Look at that. What does that make you feel like when you see that? Does he look calm? No, he looks kind of scared, right? So you can think, do you want big eyes or do you want eyes that look more oval like that. Those are kind of calmer, right? Those will feel a little bit calmer. If you want, you can do eyelashes, if you like your eyelashes or if you feel like that's important to you. And then your mouth. You have to think, do you want your mouth to be smiley and big? Do you want teeth? Do you not want teeth? You could just do a mouth like that. Okay? So there's lots of different shapes. If you want to do a side profile, which might be better for maybe a 4th grader or a 3rd grader could try doing a profile. You could do a profile on the side, and you can see how it comes off the side, and it comes in for the mouth. And look at, what does this look like? Why does this one look different from the other ones? What does he look like he's doing? He looks like he's yelling or he's talking, right? So if you want your person, your boom head to look like they're talking, maybe you want to do a profile one. And so this would be something more advanced that maybe the 3rd graders or the 4th graders could do. Okay? So maybe they want to integrate more words into theirs. And these are things that they feel they want to say or that people are saying to them or they want to shout out. So you could do a profile if you want to do a more advanced one. But I think for our kindergartners, we're going to keep it a little more simple, okay? So we're going to do our head first, and then we're going to do sort of a skeleton body. And that's going to be on the next page. Well, a little bit of a body. You don't have to do a lot. Here you can see a little bit more of a body. Oh, I need my paper towel here. I thought we had one with more of a skeleton body, but you could just do the neck and shoulders and have that come down. That's fine. You could do a short neck and square shoulders if you want. You know, you could show some ribs. If you want more of a skeleton guy, it's just been Halloween, so that's kind of cool to do. You could do a long neck and shoulders on this guy. Okay? So you don't have to do the whole thing. Your head should really fill up a large portion of your artwork. And not necessarily in the center. You could do it off to the side. Okay? As you see, most of his artwork, the head is kind of off to the side with it. Okay? So choose your boom head. What kind of head you want to do? What shape? You want to do pizza head, block head, round head, oval head, a shape like a rock. You should all have a green paintbrush now and either white or black paint to start creating your boom head. All right? So everyone work on your boom head. And then hair. You have to think about your hair. Do you want long hair? Do you want the hair to come down? Do you want short hair? Do you want it to come like that, just at the top of the head? So you have to think about what kind of hair you want for your head too. Okay? Okay, so everyone should be working on their head and thinking about what they want their head to feel like. If you have any questions about doing a shape for your head, just let me know. Okay? So we should all be working on our heads now. So that way the heads can dry, and then we're going to put our graffiti on. So when we get to that point, we're going to be using oil pastels. And we also have some grease pencils, okay?
So the head, should the head be filled in or should you?
Yes, you want to fill in more of the head. You'll want to leave maybe the eye portion open, okay? So as you guys can see over here, this boom head has a lot of black. There's a little bit of white here, so where your eyes are, your nose and your mouth, don't fill those in, okay? You want to fill in everything around it. And then keep the eyes and the nose and the mouth kind of open. because you can come back with your oil pastels and you can do more detail in the eyes at that point, okay? Does anyone have a question? Oh, here's the skeleton guy. So this guy has more of a skeleton body. But you can see it's just a rectangle. Anyone can draw a rectangle, right? And this one, he has a heart, but they showed a squirrel for it. And you see his ribs. So maybe the 4th or 5th graders, well, 5th graders aren't participating, 4th graders or 3rd graders may want to try that. But you can see after you get your paint on, whether it's black or white, you're going to come back in with your oil pastels and you're going to draw on top of the black and the white, okay? So that's where the graffiti look really kind of comes in. And then at the end, we have a really special surprise. But the grown-ups have to help you with it, okay? So when you're done with everything, you raise your hand and the grown-up will help you finish it off, okay? Everyone's very quiet. You must be really thinking about your feelings. Is everybody thinking about their feelings? How they feel right now? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel happy to be doing this project? Are you having a good time?
Yeah, right.
Good. I hope everyone's loving this project because I see some amazing artists in this room here. You're doing a pizza head? Oh, I love him. Are you going to give him a skinny neck? Or a wider neck? Or some hair? Let's see. Or is it a girl? Maybe it's a girl. Okay. You could give her eyebrows. Do you want your head to have eyebrows? You can always come back too, because you're going to have the opportunity with the oil pastels to add more detail to the eyes, okay? So try to keep the nose and the eyes open. And don't worry, it's okay. You're going to have the opportunity to come back in with oil pastels and go on top of it.
It might be good to also send a reminder out to your teacher, your class, have your room parents send an email out to the kids to not wear nice clothes on the day of your lesson. Maybe like the day before or 2 days before your lesson, get an email out to your class about that.
Oh, these are great. You guys did such a good job with your dry brush. Where? I think we're going to be in good shape for adding the oil pastels.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The heart that I know looks like this.
Oh,
It's
but
the
you're the
Hallmark-
artist.
The Hallmark heart.
Yes.
But like
Do we
actually
paint
biological, like this, right?
You're the artist.
This looks like this.
You have to decide how you're feeling.
Oh. Paint's confused.
Okay, there we go.
How many per table or one per person?
I would say maybe 2 per table, so everyone has a little variety. And then we should all have grease pencils. So as you're finishing up your head, I want you to think about the things that you like, the things that you don't like, words that are important to you, because you're going to show this in the background. So once your head is done, you're going to have an opportunity with the oil pastels to come in and draw on top of the background, to outline the eyes. You can see here this artist came in with a blue pastel and outlined the head, and then came in with a white pastel and outlined the mouth and the nose and the eyes, and outlined the body here. So you can see how the oil pastels are being used. You can also scribble in the background. You can write words. You can draw shapes. If you want to try to draw a unicorn, you can draw a unicorn. What does a unicorn look like? I don't know. I saw about 50 of them last night. So maybe you want to draw a unicorn, right?
That's pretty good.
I don't know. So it's up to you. Do unicorns have noses? They have noses, I guess. So think of things that you like, and you're going to get the opportunity opportunity to use the grease pencil or the oil pastels to do that, okay? Oh, it looks like yours is almost dry. So as soon as your black paint is dry, you can start working on your background. If you want to start writing words on your background, if you want to start writing shapes on your background.
You know, instead of black ink or white ink, can we just have them use white pastels or black pastel just because of the dry time? Like I did this
Yeah,
a long time
but
ago.
I would come and outline this now. Use it as an opportunity to outline because I think it'll be more interesting, and we really want it to have a primitive, raw look to it. So we don't
I'm
want
just talking about logistically with kids. I'm not talking about the content of this. I'm talking about, look, my paint is all wet, and I did this a long time ago when we just started talking, and logistically with the kids, they're going to do thicker paint than I did. So does it make sense? Just imagine, like, instead of my doing this in black, I just put a bunch of try to read some books and we can talk a little bit more about it.
Well, and that's the thing, guys.
The black background dries, but I think when we're drawing the face, should we just...
Well, we could do the background, and I can adjust the slides. So we could draw the background and the head first, and then we can talk about the artist. It's kind of difficult though because
no frame of
we want to
reference.
set up sort of the premise for why we're painting what we're painting. So it's kind of tricky with that. Oh, the white's going on really well with yours. Yeah.
Hardest thing is drawing.
I know, it's yours, right?
Yeah, as long as it's, I think it helps when you blot it. Yeah. Well, because like the computer, you have to wait.
Yeah, well, but still the head.
Barely on the brush at all.
Yes, yes, but that's what looks so amazing is the oil paint on top of the black. Because Samantha here just was able to put oil on top of the black head, and it looks amazing. And you don't get that if you don't have that nice black background. And then if you try to use Sharpies over paint, then you don't get that nice opaque look to it, and sometimes the Sharpies get messed up because they get the paint on them. I know, we've gone round and round with the order of things. Ooh, I love it. Very nice. Oh, look, and yours worked well.
I had to blot to get some of the black.
Okay, so she blotted a little bit, and that helped pick up a little bit of the wetter paint. So I guess maybe talking about keeping your black paint not too thick is important too. Ooh, I love it. But it's okay, guys. It doesn't have to be perfect. You have to think, graffiti artists don't have a lot of time, right? They're usually working really fast because they don't want to get arrested. So, because graffiti is illegal, children, right? So, do the best you can. It's okay. Use the grease pencil if you want to write some words on there that are smaller that maybe you can't use the oil pastel for. But I love how this is coming out. I love this. I do. And I think it's amazing. And I think it's okay that some of the background paint's a little wet. Oh, these are great. And everybody's is so unique. It's wonderful. So once you're done with your doodles, you're done with your words, and you feel that you have expressed your feelings, then we have a special spray ink that only the grown-ups are allowed to use. And so once we're done, you're going to raise your hand, and one of the grown-ups is going to come around, and we're going to do 2 spritz of pink ink. And this is where the magic really happens. Because that way you get this real graffiti look to it. So at the end, you're going to do just a couple squirts, like 2 to 3 squirts of this ink on top of it. And you know, you could do it here, you can do one over here, one down here. Don't go crazy,
This is what it looks like.
okay? But it gives it that kind of final cool pop.
Is that washable?
No. No, so I hope everybody has pushed their sleeves up and is being mindful.
too?
It's all pink.
There's just one, and then your things, yeah.
Yep, there's not multiples. It's okay. Like 2 spritz. Yes.
Oh, cool. You only get 2?
You can do 3. Splurge tonight with 3 spritz of ink. All right. So if you have done your ink, grown-ups, peel your blue tape off very carefully. We recommend that you pull it at a 90-degree angle to remove it. Oh, here, put your tape back down. Okay, don't take the tape up yet until you do your ink.
I'm stepping out the way. I'm done.
Okay.
Should I take this with me or can I leave it?
Whatever you want to do. We can put it on the dry rack, and then we can keep them as examples for everybody to use. Cool. Do you want more? Okay. It's fabulous. Did you get ink?
No, I don't want any.
Oh, you don't want ink?
I'm not a explains a lot about.
Okay.
Oh, do you have the, where's the spring?
Okay. So
there it is.
Okay, my recommendation is, okay, when you're pulling everybody at a right angle, see how that's at a right angle, like a 90-degree? And pull gently and go slowly, okay? No one's is too super wet. The problem you have is when the paper gets saturated with the paint, and then you're pulling in. Look at how beautiful the by Xing, okay? So, don't worry. Don't be scared if you tear it a little bit. You can gently fix it. So what you're going to get is you're going to get a glue stick, okay, which we